Yuri. It's an absolute pleasure to be here today with everybody, and my pleasure to speak to Espen because Wideroe is, I'm not ashamed to say it, is one of my favourite airlines, and you guys have been really busy. I know that you were impacted by the onset of the pandemic, but you survived incredibly well. Can you just talk me through how everything went for you and how you coped with the challenges of 2020?
Yeah, thanks. It's good to hear that we're one of your favorite airlines, Joanna. I think as an airline, as any airline, we had a really tough start to the pandemic. I remember we went back home from work a Friday before Norway was locked down, and we thought, okay, we're going to have to do something to reduce our capacity. And then we arrived at work Monday morning, and everything we were thinking about was already not nearly sufficient to what we saw. You know, bookings were just dropping dramatically. It would just escalated from one day to another, and we were, after a week, I found myself tearing apart the entire summer 2020 schedule. You know, that you've been working, a long time to build up, and you realize it's just one day and one night, and you're just taking it all away. So we had a rough start as well.
Yeah, just like certainly. Everyone else.
Yeah, certainly. Yeah, and I think also for a month and a half, our schedule was sort of more or less the flights that were just left over after tearing out most of the really unprofitable stuff, and quite quickly we also realized that okay, relatively speaking, we have small aircraft, and there is still some demand out there in the market, and we tried to put out some capacity in those markets where we saw that there still was a potential. So we were, I think after 6 weeks or so of lockdown, we started slowly trying to rebuild.
But, and your services are, they're really crucial for the regional communities that you serve. So it was absolutely imperative that you kept up these connections for these people that have no other way to travel. And for a little while there, you were Europe's biggest airline. Can you tell me how you got to that point and how did that feel?
Yeah, that was a very strange situation to be in. I think when we saw the numbers, my first reaction was I was a little bit worried. You know, you see there's a perfect storm coming and everyone is trying to escape it, and then you realize that we're the only ones heading straight at it. So that was kind of really a point when we realized really that we are certainly moving in a different direction from everyone else. But I think also, obviously, we have 30% of our network that's based on PSO routes, and the government also supported some previously commercial routes. So we had some government support to keep flying on a lot of our routes. But we also saw that the fact that we have 50 seaters, 78 seaters on a more traditional regional network, it really enabled us to capture the residual demand of the market, because while the markets were basically, as compared to normal times, they were completely gone, but so were capacity, and we saw that with relatively small aircraft we can capitalize on that and provide a service to the country, because you have people that have to be somewhere even during a pandemic, as we realized. So
absolutely.
So I think it was around May last year we really saw that, and we started rebuilding our network and gradually growing as well. So.
And I guess by the summer, things were looking up a bit. I mean, we all had a bit of a more normal summer last year than maybe we're anticipating having this year. How were you guys doing over last summer? Was it all about the sort of staycation market, or, where was that capacity being put on?
Yeah, so I guess we realized as well that there's not going to be a lot of international holidays last summer, and then we thought since we were operating at quite high level of capacity, at least relatively speaking, during the summer, and we decided to take a shot at more domestic routes, flying between the north and the south, and and that was really successful. So the domestic market was quite good. Infection rates were really low. Everyone was quite optimistic. Have we beat this pandemic now? But I guess the story had one more chapter.
Yeah, we lived to tell the tale of that one. So, as we went into this second wave last winter, what effect did that have on Wideroe and what you guys were doing?
I think I guess we were not the only airline in Europe that was, after the summer and before the summer, quite optimistic with regards to what were going to happen in September and October. And we had quite we had quite a lot of capacity in the market. And obviously, when the second wave of infections hit, I think most of Europe, we saw that the market wasn't really where we were expecting it to be when we made our plans before the summer. So we had to have had another round of where we had to scale back some of our operations, but still we still saw that the 78-seater is a really good aircraft for a pandemic market situation. So we're still able to keep flying quite a lot also on a commercial basis, and I think after the initial shock of the second wave, we saw also that we can increase our network. We added some new destinations, particularly in the domestic market, and we also increased frequency to make sure that we have a more complete offering on an origin and destination basis. So I think also during the pandemic we gained some more confidence as well in the fact that that what we were doing was actually making sense, and I think that also speaks something for regional markets and regional carriers in general. And I think we haven't been able to capitalize on the general growth in passenger demand over the last perhaps 20 years, but I think the regional aviation segment is quite resilient in that it doesn't necessarily grow during the booming days, but then again, there is still actually room for us during a pandemic. So I think the peaks aren't as high and the bottoms aren't as low, I think, for a regional carrier with smaller aircraft.
I agree, and I think it's incredible how we've seen that small is beautiful actually when we're presented with these sorts of challenges. And I think you guys found that Bergen became almost a hub for an internal hub and spoke network, and I think that really bolstered your capabilities during the pandemic. What's been going on? Is it still growing at Bergen?
Yeah, certainly. So actually, I would say our journey in Bergen and our growth plans in Bergen started when we acquired the E2, the E-Jets, the E190, where we introduced an improved product and higher frequency on routes from Norway's second city to the north. And we've been building that slow and steady ever since we got the E-Jets. But obviously we saw during the pandemic that no one else was flying, so we used it as an opportunity to increase our network, more destinations and more frequencies. And we're really happy with the passenger numbers. We've been actually hitting all-time high on passenger numbers on transfer volumes via Bergen, and it's been actually for some parts of the pandemic the major hub for domestic traffic in Norway, which is extraordinary. You would never expect to see that during normal times because Oslo has such a huge network. So that's really been working out for us. And we added we had our first flight to London Heathrow a week and a half ago. So that's our first new international destination. And actually today also we announced 2 new destinations starting in September from Bergen, which is the Faroe Islands and Alicante, Spain. So we're really happy to build on the foundation that we built through the pandemic, and we really believe that the network we've built now in Bergen is really something that's going to stick also after when the market returns after the pandemic.
That's fantastic, and really great to hear your new route announcement today. That's fabulous news. So will this be E-Jet services as well?
So Alicante, Spain will be jet service, but Faroe Islands will be on a Q400. So we really think that aircraft is really good to develop that to that market. So we're really looking
Fabulous.
forward to it. Yeah.
Yeah, really good news. And it was great to see you guys landing at London Heathrow. So can you just sort of explain a little bit about why you're serving both Heathrow and Southend now? Is this all about connecting traffic, or what's the thinking there?
Yeah, so actually now we were really keen on the London market. So we started last year in September. We had a few flights to London Southend, and then the second wave of the pandemic hit, and it really didn't make sense with any international flights, more or less. So we had to scale that back, and after a while we saw the opportunity of London Heathrow opening up, and I think particularly now during the pandemic we really see that it gives us a little bit of opportunity to also get some transfer traffic. So it's I think when the markets are really depressed, to be able to add on top of the local passengers also some transfer passengers. I think on our side, on the Norwegian side, but also out of London, it really helps us build that market during a very difficult time. So I really hope that we'll be able to return to London Southend as well. I think it's a very good and interesting product for the local passengers going directly to London. But obviously, if you want to capture the transfer traffic, London Heathrow it's a little bit different product. Yeah.
Do you think you'll stay there long term, or is this just kind of an opportunistic thing because the slots were there?
Yeah, we'll see. Obviously, we're starting the route, and we're really optimistic, and we. Going forward, we think it's going to develop quite nicely, but obviously it's quite a lot of uncertainty with regards to the slot situation, and that's something that we have to sort out if we want to stay at London Heathrow in the long term. But obviously we didn't go in there just as a hit and run thing. We really want to develop it for something in the long term, but. That requires also some sorting out on the slot side. So we'll see if that's something that we'll be able to turn that around.
Fantastic. That's great news. So I'm glad that you mentioned the E2 because this was my hot topic. You know, I love talking about planes, and I particularly love the Embraer E2. I think it's a fabulous aircraft. It's the biggest plane you guys have ever operated. You know, how is it working for you? I guess you haven't really had a chance to put it through its paces, but are you in love with it?
Yeah, it's a great aircraft, and the customers love it. You don't have the middle seat. It's a very quiet and nice aircraft, and compared to our other aircraft, you have chargers on board, and yeah, I really enjoy the product personally. However, I'm based in Oslo, and we use it mainly out of Bergen, so I don't get to fly it as often as I perhaps I would like to. But the product is it's fantastic, and it's really nice, and we really want to use it to develop a little bit more, longer flights up to like 2 hours, which isn't ideal for a prop, but hopefully we'll be able to develop that part of our network as well, so that there will be more E-jets in our fleet in the future as well. So.
Really good to hear. Yeah, I'm excited to see where they go because I feel like you kind of got it, and then you didn't really have a chance to let it stretch its wings before all this business shut down the operating environment. So yeah, excited to see where you guys go with that in future. So looking at the kind of short to medium term, what are you expecting from this summer? And you've already mentioned your 2 new routes. Can we expect any more from Wideroe this year?
Yeah, well, I guess we'll have to wait and see. No, I think we in the short term, we're expecting a domestic summer. We kept the focus from last year. We increased capacity on the new routes that we launched last year in the domestic market, and passengers are really happy with that. They really like the opportunity of going north and south. Like Norway is a really long and stretched country, and it's like flights even with a jet is more than 2 hours to go from the north to the south, and that's a product that we've been really happy with, and that's our main focus now at the moment. Just to get a good summer with regards to domestic tourism, and After that, obviously, I think that we're launching 2 new international destinations. At least, you know, we certainly believe that there is going to be some more international traffic in as the infection rates go down, the vaccination rates go up, and travel restrictions are reduced. And yeah, I guess we'll see. We're ready to follow the market. So hopefully international traffic as well is coming back.
Really good to hear, and I absolutely can assure you that everybody on this call thinks the same and hopes that we're in for a better summer next year. So Espen, I could talk to you all day. It's been fantastic to have this chat, but for now I better stick to time and hand back to Uri.
All right, thanks for having the opportunity to come here, and yeah, thanks Uri and thanks Joanna, and I hope all you guys try our international services and come to Bergen, and where you can go, you know, to everywhere you want in Norway.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Espen.
Cheers.